Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is finally here, produced by Seth Rogen, my most anticipated film for the rest of the year, and I got a chance to see it yesterday, and let's just say...
Drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
I had an absolute blast with this film. I went with quite a few members of my family to go see this, and we had an absolute blast. So I am going to be doing a spoiler-free view / discussion, I guess, and just going to be having some fun, really, and just be talking about everything you want to know. I've got a whole list here. So with that said, roll the intro. Now, quite frankly, I don't know how you couldn't love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're so lovable, they're so likeable, they're relatable, they're funny, everything like that. And they are just kind of doing reboots for each generation. Me, myself, I grew up with the 2012 cartoon, and that's always going to be my iteration of it. I know it's a bit more recent than some other people, but I just love that one to bits. I love it so much. And when they announced that they were doing another one, I was like, come on, you're doing another Ninja Turtles reboot? Like, another one? Like, the Michael Bay produced ones were like, they were okay, but do we really need another reboot, especially this soon? But then it was announced Seth Rogen was doing it, then we had the cast, and then we had the trailer, and it looked...
Perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
And we got more and more snippets, we got Easter eggs, trailers, everything, and I went into this with a completely positive vibe. I was excited for what they were doing, and it became a most anticipated film the rest of the year. And I got to tell you, I love this film so much. And like, just looking at like the list I've done here, because I have like a list here of everything. Looking at my list, like half of the page, or even most of the page, is positive. There is very little negative to say about this film. But the first thing you have to talk about with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is that they just got it right. For the first time ever, they got actual teenagers to voice the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And when I say that there, it probably doesn't sound crazy to you, but as a Turtle fan, or someone who grew up with the Turtles, like I'm assuming someone watching this is, it makes such a difference. And you don't really understand that until you see the film. And they just fit so well. All the teenagers fit absolutely perfect, and they honestly did such an amazing job, and they should all be very, very happy with their work. It was amazing, and like, no wonder there's a bunch of actor strikes. It doesn't surprise me, I'm not gonna lie, with everything that goes on. It really doesn't. But we also have some other supporting actors in here. Seth Rogen voicing Bebop, John Cena voicing Rocksteady. We have Rose Byrne as Leatherhead. We have Paul Rudd as Mondo Gecko. We have just many other people in here. The big standout for me was Jackie Chan as Splinter. He was definitely my favourite out of them all, and I think he is my favourite iteration of Splinter. And April O'Neil as well is amazing. From the trailers, she didn't look amazing to me. Revolving just the character, I wasn't too sure about it, because she kind of just felt like she was in the way of the Turtles a little bit. And when you see the film, it works a lot better. And I got to tell you, she's now my favourite April. She's amazing in this film. In fact, she was one of my favourite characters of the film. And yeah, just really, really good, honestly. And another thing you've got to mention here is the pacing. This has got a lot of people from Mitchell's vs. the Machines and Lego Movie, and in fact even The Boys working on this film. And it has that normal pacing that you'd expect from like the Lego movie or something, where it moves at a quite quick pace but then stops to let you have a breather, make you understand. So then it has a good runtime at the same time, so it's able to make you care about the characters, lay the ground, lay the story, make you understand what's going on. So then you care about what's going on, you care about the characters, and you care about their journey and what they're doing. And this film is hilarious. The humour in this film is fantastic. I don't think I've ever laughed as much at an animated film in like years. It is so funny. But one thing I do want to point out with this is that they even let the teenagers like put lines in, and there are going to be things which children understand that adults don't understand, or things that adults understand but children don't. There's a lot of things in there, and there's a lot of pop culture Hollywood references which I wasn't too sure if I was going to like when I first saw it and seeing the trailers. But it was amazing. It was really, really good. It was really good. And while it can be really funny, it can also be pretty emotional at the same time. This is a very heartfelt film and can be really relatable if you've ever felt like you don't fit in with others, you feel like an outsider, you don't feel like you slot in with everyone else, and it can be really relatable but heartfelt at the same time. So then it makes you feel for the characters and takes you on this journey which you want to see more of, and I just love it for that. It was really, really good. And I just want to say the animation is absolutely gorgeous. And I know I comment on the animation style a lot. Whenever I watch an animated film, I always comment on the animation, whether it was good, whether it was bad. This animation is some of the best I've ever seen. Now, a lot of people have been comparing this to Into the Spider-Verse, which I think is a good point. You can compare this to Into the Spider-Verse if you want to, and I think that is a good way. But also, it feels like its own thing. And you've seen many films like Into the Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots, and even like Mitchell's vs. Machines take this animation and take it to the next level. But this one uses almost like a watercolour vibe. It looks like a drawing. The whole film looks like a drawing. And it almost looks 2D, but also has this 3D look over it. So then, when you're watching the film, the colours, the vibrant, the way they move when they fight, it looks stunning. It looks amazing, and I just love that so much. And I really, really did appreciate some of the stuff that they did in here. And that is just another reason to see this in the cinema, because you get even more of an experience. It's well layered. They address everything with this film. It's really, really good. And I feel like with Across the Spider-Verse, I can understand why someone wouldn't like the animation in that film. This film, however, you have to give me good reasoning to convince me that this animation isn't good, because I don't know how anyone could actually hate on this film and its animation. A couple other things I want to point out. These aren't really positives or negatives, but there is one mid-credit scene. It is something you 100% want to stay for. You do not want to leave. And when I first saw it, I thought there was going to be two, and then I googled it, but it's sort of like it's one credit scene combined. It almost feels like two credit scenes combined into one. So keep that in mind. There is only one. You can trust me on that. And I want to point out, this is not a kids' film. This is not aimed at young children at all. There was quite a few young children in my screening, and some of them are getting quite scared. Some of them just weren't enjoying it. And when I heard it, like, and just saw the film, there was a bit of swearing in this film. This film does contain swearing. There's a fair bit of just mature. It's quite mature at times. It addresses some adult themes. It's got a lot of humour which children probably won't understand. So it's just things to take into consideration before you do check this film out, because it is a little bit like that. It can, be a bit edgy at times. And last thing on here is I do want to point out is that this film suffered from promotional issues. And this isn't a negative in any way, but recently when I've been watching TV on like the commercial break, they have had ads for Turtles. and they've said all these cast members that are in it: John Cena, Rose Byrne, Seth Rogen, Paul Rudd, Jackie Chan, all these characters, all these people. And while they do a good job in the film, they're not in it loads. And it's a bit dishonest. And there's a bit of false advertising with it. So go in not expecting a lot of that. Some, like Bebop and Rocksteady, probably get about, I'd say about 7 lines between the both of them. Rose Byrne's character isn't in it much. Maya Rudolph's character isn't in it much. Jackie Chan's in it a lot though. But like, just not crazy a lot in it. And I think it's so sad because in all the promotion, you haven't seen any of the teenagers, any of the turtle actors get promoted. And it's just a little sad. But, you know, there's nothing, you know, it's just go in there, think, you know, just keep that in mind. And then a couple other things I want to point out here. These are kind of negatives. And the first one I am going to point out here is the use of mutants. And this kind of does tie in with the promotional issues, which I mentioned, that the mutants aren't in it loads. When they are in it, it's great. But there's something they do with all of the mutants in the third act, and the way it plays out, you know, plays out in the way, in the direction it's going. And if you've seen like most of the trailers, you can probably put together what's going to happen and this twist that they're going to do. You can definitely see it. And how they leave it, it looks like they are going to struggle when they do a sequel, because they're going to have to do a lot of story changes and a lot of things in order to change what they've done and undo everything, because it isn't very, I don't know how to word it, but it's just something which isn't going to sit right with everyone, me included. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but let's just, you know, see how it goes, I guess. And then kind of coming off of that is the ending. And the ending is good. It's a happy, nice, joyful ending. But at the end of the day, it's not going to sit right with everyone. Not just because of the mutants, there's also something else which goes on. And I feel like when I say this, I am not saying that they should have done it at all. Not saying it at all. But if you had had a studio like Pixar do this film, they probably would have gone for the other ending that you could have done with this film. And obviously it is Paramount, and you know it's always going to be Paramount, but the ending to this film involves entirely in how invested in this film you are. If you're not invested that much, you're not crazy about them doing a sequel, you're just there for a fun time, you're going to enjoy it. But if you're there, you know you're going to be watching the sequel, you know you're going to be there for more. It may not sit right with you. And I came out of this film just thinking, I need to rewatch that for that to sit right with me. So, right now, this point in time, it is a bit of an issue for me, but I'm planning on going to see this film again, possibly next week. I'm not sure, I might do, I might not, but I do think in the future, when I go back to rewatch this film, I don't think it's going to bother me too much. I do think I'm just going to be like, you know, it is what it is, but I can ignore it and I can live with it. Like, it is what it is. It was an issue, but, you know, I liked it. And also, I'm not the writers. There's probably something that they can work around with what they've done and everything. But once you see the film, watch my spoiler review. I have a spoiler review coming out. But if you've seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, let me know your thoughts down below. And please, I really want to know, who is your favourite turtle? My favourite is Donatello, but like, even in this film, I loved all the turtles. They're all great, but my favourite still remains to be Donatello. But, you know, he's awesome. But, you know, let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Are you excited for this film? You're going to check it out, everything like that, all the fun stuff. So please do comment, like, and subscribe, share this video with your friends and family. Let me know, are you going to be checking out this film? Are you going to stream it when it comes on Paramount Plus, if you have that kind of dead streaming service? But, you know, all that fun stuff. But that's all for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, Turtle fans.